Hey guys, Stephanie with AmericanMuscle.com here with my overview of the K&N Series 63 AirCharger High-Performance Intake available for the 2015 and up EcoBoost Mustang. This overview is going to cover a few topics with the K&N, like what you can expect from this intake, some info about the components and the construction, and some info about the install. Now the install for this is a simple one. It's going to be a 1 out of 3 wrenches on the scale, but I'll get more into that a little bit later on. The K&N cold air intake is going to be for the S550 EcoBoost owners out there that are looking for a budget-friendly aftermarket cold air intake to clean up the looks of the engine bay. Aftermarket cold air intakes are a popular mod, but there are a few different choices out there between the airbox styles and the filters. The K&N here is an open element style intake, so it's going to be the most basic design, but it's also one of the most budget-friendly. The K&N is going to come with a few pieces. You have your air filter, your inlet tube, clamps, an adapter for the filter, and a coupler for the filter as well. And it's going to come with all of the necessary hardware that you need to get this intake installed. And the K&N here does not require a tune to be installed. As far as the factory intake goes, it's actually really good. It's highly functional and it isn't as restrictive as you might think it is. But what we tend to see is that aftermarket cold air intakes tend to function a little bit better than the factory intake in the upper RPMs, and especially after some mods have been completed. The K&N is one of the more basic designs though, so it doesn't maintain the cold air feed from the grill of the car, and it does not have a closed airbox, but it has a shroud instead. And like other aftermarket intakes for the EcoBoost, this one does not require a tune. No aftermarket cold air intake for the EcoBoost Mustang requires a tune because these cars are speed density cars. The requirement of a tune with aftermarket intakes comes from the size of the MAF, or the mass airflow. An aftermarket intake can only go so big with the MAF size before the car is going to need a computer tune. But since the EcoBoost is a speed density car, they don't have a MAF sensor, so no aftermarket intake for this car is going to require a tune, which means that you can just bolt up any intake and go. Now, even though this is the case with the EcoBoost, I do want to be clear with the fact that you're only going to see gains of a few horsepower without a tune. So you can expect a small bump in horsepower and torque if you just wanted to bolt this thing up and go. Taking a look at some of the components of the intake, the air filter is a reusable oiled filter. It's made from layers of cotton gauze and screens that are epoxy-coated for durability and filtration. The oil is used to treat the cotton gauze to give it a tackiness and give it the filtration abilities that it needs. What's nice about the reusable filter is that you can clean the filter when it's dirty and reinstall it and not have to worry about purchasing a new filter every time. Looking at the price for this intake, you can expect to pay close to the $300 mark for this intake. This is on the more budget-friendly side of the aftermarket intakes, but like I mentioned earlier, this is one of the more simple designs with just a heat shield and a filter, so that's going to help keep the price down a bit. As for the install, it's nothing too difficult, and like I mentioned earlier, the intake will come with all of the items that you need to complete the install. All you really need to get then is a few basic hand tools. This is probably one of the easier mods that you can tackle with your new Mustang, and it'll take about a half hour or an hour tops, and I'm going to call it a 1 out of 3 wrenches on our scale. All that you really need to do is remove the factory airbox. You need to disconnect the airbox from the inner fender and remove the inlet tube from the air filter, but we're just talking about a few bolts and clamps here. The K&N installs nearly the same way that the factory airbox came out, but it's a little bit different because of the heat shield. You'll just have an L bracket instead. The rest of the install is pretty much the same as installing a factory intake. Just put on your new couplers and clamps and slide the air filter and shroud into place and tighten everything down. Wrapping things up here, this intake from K&N has a simple design that's going to look better under the hood than the factory airbox. It has a reusable filter that's easy to clean and reinstall when the time comes, and you can check it out more online for yourself right here at AmericanMuscle.com.